Man, appreciate you. Every time we with you, man. Thanks for everything you do, covering, the boxing at a different level and letting people hear from the perspective of the athlete what they usually hear from the perspective of you.
Now, I want to jump right into it. October 31st, Halloween.
Woo,
Chicago.
We'll be in Chicago. Jalil has a open workout that'll be done in Chicago. It'll be at the Windy City Boxing Gym. I want to make sure Montel Griffin's gym, but it's named after his father, Clarence Griffin. It'll be the Windy City Boxing Gym. Shout out to everybody who's been involved, whether it's For Chance Promotion, who's actually having a fight out there that Friday night and was part of bringing us out there. Whether it be Mayweather Promotions for giving us opportunities to be in camp with fighters, getting us opportunities to expand on his career before he even turns pro. Tank giving us opportunities to spot and say, hey, this kid got it. Getting those type of guys to put a stamp on you. Coach Calvin and his whole Upton crew. Just everything they've been doing. I appreciate everything from all the different fighters that have helped us get to this point.
Now, how did that whole process come about with the showcase in Chicago?
More or less like an opening promotion tour, trying to do the leg work before he turns pro. Like we've talked in the past, this whole process has been a year in the making. When he finished fighting in December, he told me, he said, Dad, I'm done. Last December with amateur boxing after the U.S. Championships, he said, hey, I'm ready to move on. And we knew we were going to take one solid year to prepare to be a pro. I didn't want him to just say, I'm finished with amateurs and now I want to be a professional fighter, because those are two different things. It's like comparing rugby and football. They both have football, they both tackle, but it's totally different sports. At the amateur level, everything was about speed, accumulation, whereas the pro level, I'm seeing more direct concentrated assaults or direct concentrated game plans to be the specific person, not something to beat 5 people in a week's time. So we've taken that time since January to make the transition. The whole thing with Mayweather Promotions, a good friend of mine, Michael Short, he actually has been knowing my son since he was very young. Came by my house one day and said, man, your son's still boxing? I said, yeah, we still doing the same thing. He said, ready to turn pro. He was like, man, I got one of my buddies. I'm going to shoot him your number so you can give you a call. It happened to be Derek Curry, one of Mayweather's guys. And Derek came out, watched him various times, watched him train the spar, and he made the call to Leonard Ellaby. And after that, they sent us to camp with Tank, and we've been pressing forward ever since.
With that being said, what you're seeing with Mayweather Promotions right now, they signing a lot of young talent.
Yeah.
A lot of young talent right now. It's almost like they're restocking.
They realize that, every season brings about a rotation in the plan of life. Floyd at one time was the epitome of the sport. He was the cash cow, whether it was from Vegas or wherever he fought, or the hotel industry, whatever. But since he's moved over to the promotional side, we've seen he had fighters like Bobby Jack, he's had Jalil Love, numerous other fighters, and then he got his big megastar who's there now, Gervonta Davis. I think now after those 2 rotations, he sees, let me restock my cabinet with young talent that I could bring along, watch them mature, and get them ready to see who's going to be the superstar after Tank is finished. So, I think he's doing a very good job, and, hey, shout outs to the fighters he signed. Malik Warren, Malik Jackson, Malik Hawkins, both fighters out of Baltimore, very good fighters. Glad to see them doing their thing.
And also coming up soon, you got Tank actually going to be back on in December 28th, fighting again. Have you got that call for Jalil to come back to the camp?
Actually, I talked to Kenny, and Kenny said that he was going to let me know when they want him to come back in and be in camp with him again. So we look forward to it.
Now, what's your thoughts on the Tank Gamboa fight?
Oh, wow, this going to be a good one. Honestly, I probably feel different than most people. Most people think it might not be that great of a fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. You got Tank, young, hand speed, strong, after you saw his last knockout, major performance. But don't forget, Gamboa used to be the Tank. Young, energetic, strong. He still looked physically great if you saw him at the last fight. Still looks physically great. Had a good fight. I think with a champion like that, with a past and the pedigree that he has, he's gonna bring an A game to the table that may bring something out of Tank that we've never seen before. We thought their last performance was something amazing. We may actually see that topped, and not by an earlier knockout, but by one of those great fights that says, hey, this guy's ascended to a different level.
Now, one of the things I also wanted to talk about, you know, a lot of deaths happened this year in boxing.
Yeah.
The recent one, Patrick Day.
Yeah, young man lost his life in the ring. Sorry for him and his family. You know, my thoughts and prayers go out to them. It brings back the concept that we are in a dangerous business. You can play every other sport, you can't play boxing.
It's definitely a gladiator sport.
These are the last gladiators. To me, if you look at the MMA guys, UFC, and you look at boxers, they're the last true gladiators. They're the last true gladiators.
You know, I was looking at this study from the NRI, I think Brenhaven Medical Center, where they were saying that 90% of boxers receive some type of head trauma during their career. Do you agree with that?
I think 90% of any athlete receives head trauma during their career. You look at baseball players, running, sliding, didn't they just eliminate running into the catcher? So that had to be something of some sort of brain trauma. Football players might be the top brain trauma because you got a 360-pound guy running into a 180-pound guy. Truck versus a Corvette. Truck gonna win every time. You know, so you know, all of them are dangerous. Boxing, it may be one of, it's sad to say, or not sad to say, but in a different light saying, maybe one of the safer of the sports. The way that boxing is with the weight categories, in the amateurs, they definitely have the age brackets. They try to do everything that can make it as safe as possible. But once again, this sport, like any other sport, is not for everybody.
Do you think because of the recent deaths, they put such a spotlight and an emphasis on that right now, where you had like someone like Max Kellerman talk about they should do same-day weigh-ins? What are your thoughts on that?
If we go back in the past, we used to have same-day weigh-ins, and if I'm not mistaken, the powers that be to deal with the health side of it said it was not safe to have a same day as you weigh in to fight. If they did that before, why would you say go back to it? I don't think that anybody who has never made weight, has never been in this side of the boxing, should have that much of a sharp, strong opinion because they haven't done both sides. It's the same thing as when you have athletes getting on commentators and everybody in the media world says, well, that's not their realm, they shouldn't do that because they don't understand what our job is. It goes in reverse. You shouldn't put in some, or any athlete's head, something negative when they have to give up so much of themselves. I would love for some of the Max Kellermans of the world, go to camp with a fighter, give them 90 days of your time, and try to do what they do every single day. It's almost impossible. It's not a every man's sport.
What do you feel is the biggest danger of having the same day weigh-in?
Fatigue. These guys, they do everything they can to make weight. When they make weight, if you're telling them to fight the same day, you're sending a half product in. You're sending a broken product in. But when you give them that day to recover, to rehydrate, where there's no run early in the morning, a relaxed day, you're getting a better product. You're just getting a better quality fight.
I think from like one of his comments he was talking about, if I'm not mistaken, was that he wanted fighters to fight at their natural weight, realizing that, you know, because of certain weight classes, fighters will drop down in more weight because of where the money is.
I think it's impossible to ask somebody to do that, especially a fighter. You have fighters that walk around 160, but they come down to 140 to fight because they know that gives them the best chance for success. When you're saying fight at 160 for a guy that walks around at 160, you're taking all of the success opportunity. He's more adapt to get hurt than he would if he was making the weight that he's comfortable making. Mm-hmm. You know, each fighter, God bless all of them, they make the decision when they sign the contract to fight it that way. I've never seen a fighter say, I was forced to fight it this way. I've seen fighters move up. Look at Tank. Tank said, man, it's getting hard for me to make that weight. I'm going to move up. He moved up in weight. But if he said I wanted to defend my world titles, who am I or anybody else to say, you can't defend something you spent most of your life trying to achieve. You know, you can't take away a goal like that from somebody.
You know, that's interesting what you said. You know, speaking of that, you know, it's up to the fighter when they sign that contract.
Yes.
Because, you know, one of the talks we're talking about in social media and different boxing commentators, should the promotional companies pay the hospital bills for fighters when they have severe injuries?
It's kind of funny with that. What I'll say is, when fighters are young in their careers, at that point maybe the promoter could be more helpful if I have an injury that requires that. But as they get further along in their career, or the money changes as far as what they're making, I look at the boxers, including my own son. They may sign with a promoter to get consistent work, but they're all independent contractors. If their contract is up, they can go fight for another promoter. If they don't have a contract, some fighters are fighting without contract with promoters, they can fight anybody they want. I want to say Mikey Garcia has fought different people for different promotion companies. So if they're independent contractors, that's the part that you can't hold somebody else responsible for. I would love to see if there was some sort of pot that was put into for a workman's comp situation. But as far as the promoter being responsible for it, I just don't see how you make them responsible for an unforeseen action.
Yeah, it's definitely harder for like the smaller promotional companies
and that would drive a lot of fighters out of the boxing business, because promoters just would not see the logic of putting on the fight. If I'm going to lose money to put on the promotion, like you said, some fighters or more fighters are fighting through the trenches to get to the major promoters than are jumping onto the major promoter bandwagon out the gate. So you're basically saying I'm gonna get rid of a whole career path for a lot of fighters who have to go the nuts and bolts route to get where they want to be.
I definitely recommend for somebody who's in the funeral business that once they do start making that money and success, I will highly recommend life insurance.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. I would say I wouldn't even wait till then. You know, I think people have a misconception that life insurance is more than I can afford, but it's not. You search around, you can find companies that offer term life insurance, and you can find companies that offer whole life insurance at a rate that you can afford. So I would tell anybody, whether you're in boxing, out of boxing, have something prepared for your family on the back.
Now, with Jalil in his senior year, what's some of the besides the showcase that's going to go down October 31st, what do you have planned for him for the rest of his senior year?
We're training, right? Predominantly training, letting him be a senior, letting him get through the senior year, enjoy all the festivities of that. We want to do a couple of more or less staged fights where I may get with some other coaches I know and ask them, hey, do you got some guys we can do maybe a staged 4-round fight with, where we wear the headgears, where we put on 8-ounce gloves, and we'll do 4 rounds. I'll get one of the referees to come in and officiate it to give you that feel of it, much the same as a college basketball coach. He'll bring in, one of the junior teams or another team, and they'll stage a practice that's set up to be just like a game, so they can see what their guys will do under the atmosphere of a game setting.
Yeah, because I was going to ask about that, because you probably want to keep him active, knowing that it is his senior year and he is done with the amateurs, and at this point now is getting ready for the pros.
Yeah.
And in that process, what will he start out with once he become a pro? Will it be at the 135?
Yeah, he'll be 135, 140. Right now we're leaning towards 135, but I'm letting him grow. I mean, he's 16 years old, about to be 17. His body still got more growing to do. So it's not like I'm going to stunt the growth, but we're going to see if we can realistically make 35. If not 35, 40.
Now, speaking of that, another young fighter out there right now who's calling out Lomo, Devin Haney. What's your thoughts on that?
He's biting it off. I want to say, anytime a young fighter has enough faith in himself to say, I want to fight the best, I respect it. Because when you see a lot of different fighters that say, I want this fight, don't actively move in the direction of it, or they say, we want this to happen in 2 years. This young crop now, Devin Haney, say I want that smoke from Lomachenko. Shakur Stevenson fight Saturday for a world title. Erickson Lubin started out the gate young and has chased his opportunity to fight for a championship. He got knocked out in his title shot, but the young man was chasing it. He didn't duck it. So, I take my hat off to any of these young fighters now. This crop, I think it's going to be the crop that in the next 2 to 10 years, they not going to care about wins and losses. They going to care about, I want the best fight. I want to be the guy that's the man. So you're going to see some great fights out of these.
So pretty much take it back to the old school of the 80s with the Roberto Durans, Hagler, Hearns, that era.
Hearns, Duran, Leonard, Mike McCallum, all those guys, they was like round robin fight. You could win, you could beat one guy, but don't beat the next guy. You could beat this guy. Look at just those 4. None of them came out of that undefeated against those 4. Ray Leonard, Duran, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hackett. They all won or lost against each other. But it didn't diminish their career. In fact, they call that the golden age of the middleweights. So I respect those guys. I hope that my son keeps the same mentality that he's had since he's been fighting. It's been fights I didn't want. My son's like, Dad, you my trainer, I'm the fighter. I want this fight. Whether we win or lose, it don't matter to me. He said, I want to be the best. You can't be the best talking about fighting somebody. You gotta go fight. That's just simple as that.
Now, well, with Jalil, what's one of the things that you really like to work on with him the most?
Calming down, relaxing. Jalil has always been a fighter. When I was boxing, I liked the art of boxing. Use the jab, work behind the jab. With him, even as a little child, he just wanted to fight. Throw caution to the wind. That's good, especially from the fan perspective, but at some point, you gotta put that skill set in front of there, and that's my thing. I work on him with the most. Keep the skill set in front of you. Don't back off what you are as your tendency, but don't forget the concept of you have to remain respectful, skillful.
Man, I really appreciate your time today on the ropes, giving your perspective on boxing, the whole thing as far as brain injuries and the CTE. I really appreciate your perspective on that today.
Appreciate it anytime.
All right, we out. Right there, and you said it. Show off the check. Let the shuffle your feet. Slow down, relax. You asked me that question? That's the question I want. Everything for him is always, I'm in a rush to get to you. Sometimes learning to relax is better than being in a rush. Come on, relax. Everybody think you gotta go fast with these. To me, these are more valuable to me with the mitts, going slow. It teaches you relaxation and put it where it's supposed to go. If you pull a gun out fast and pull the trigger fast, it ain't no different than I pull them out slow and pull the trigger. That same velocity gonna be there. Be accurate. Now I gotta ask you, what you say about your philosophy of going slow on the mitts? Why do you think people are so impressed by the speed on the mitts?
Cause it look good. It's cute. I love it too. Man, I love to see that. I'm gonna say this, I've seen myself personally, 2 fighters ever box and could do the mitts and make it look exactly the same. 2 fights I've seen. The first one, Floyd Mayweather Jr. He can, the mitt and boxing, same way. The second with the speed, Gary Russell Jr. Only two I've ever seen do it. So if I've only seen two people throw a 15-piece combination on a set of mitts and then do it in the ring, why would I teach them something that 98% of the other people have failed at? I'd rather you be more, when I like to see the mitts, I tell you I used to like to watch do the mitts. Gerald McClellan, the G-Man. His mitts were not fast, but it was the same way he fought. He's here, his mitts will be the same way. Bing, bing, and right here. It wasn't a change. If you're gonna do anything in this sport, be able to make it where you can do it in the ring. How many fighters you seen, whether it's on YouTube or whatever, throw these very beautiful, intricate combinations?
In the ring, I haven't.
No. In the mitts. You can see hundreds of videos where they YouTube legends because they can throw a 25-punch combination. How many of those fighters have you ever seen remotely throw the same combination in a fight?
I haven't.
How many of them have you ever seen attempt to throw those combinations in a fight?
You don't.
How many of them have you ever seen have the gas and stamina to even look like the same fighter that they are on the mitts or on the bag when they fight? It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, I like it. But it's not something that I want to teach my son to do. That doesn't make sense.
Quick now, your preference. Do you prefer the mitts or the heavy bag?
Both of them actually give you a lot. I think with the mitts, you put a man in front of you that can emulate certain movements. With the heavy bag, you can learn to correctly throw something. If you're the coach, you can watch from the outside.
Yeah, I heard Carissa Shields' coach talking about that.
I can be on the outside and look at you and be like, "Nah, you ain't do that on the mitts." You ever seen coach say, "Stop, come here. Now let me see that on the mitts." They be like, "Why is it different on here than there?" Because now they get to see. When they're in the middle of the action, they really don't see it. Mm-hmm. You know, so that to me is the biggest thing. With him, I'm more or less wanting perfection. You don't have to be the fastest guy. You don't have to be the strongest guy. But I will not accept you not being the most perfect guy. We fought fighters that's been faster than us. We fought fighters that have been stronger than us. Come out on top. We've had fights where my son has chosen to do it his way and we've lost because he want to do it his way. We've had fights where I tell him after the fight and I told other people, it was my bad call. But for the most part, we've had fights where we've been able to dominate because of how we do. It's not accidental that I make him run the way I do. It's not accidental that I think we do more strength and conditioning than we do boxing. Once he know how to fight, he know how to fight. Let's focus on making it where we can do something the next man can't. If I can get him to run 7 miles, and after 7 miles, and I got him on the clock, say, come on, gear up, we're gonna spar. And he can tell his body to recover fast enough to go work, I can live with that. I mean, when you've seen him spar, he can be dominant by just walking you down. But he can also say, let's box. Let's get some rounds in. That's what I like about the sport of boxing. Every coach, whether it's Calvin Ford, whether it's Gary Russell Sr., whether it's Barry Hunter, whether it's Kenny Porter, name all the coaches you want. Each one of those coaches in their own way is a Picasso. They just throw the paint on the canvas different. But at the end of the day, they all have masterpieces. All those guys I just named have world champions. That means that at some point in time, they created a masterpiece. So it's no one way to do it. It's the best way as a coach for you to get your fighter to bring it out onto the canvas. Because honestly, we ain't nothing as fighters. You wouldn't be talking to me. Nobody would be talking to me, Barry, Gary, anybody else. If them dudes that fight couldn't put that on the canvas. So that's my whole thing about it. Right now, we go to the second part of the workout. Lil, we like to use that mirror. We on the egg weights now.
Yeah, how you like those egg weights?
Man, it's going like that.
Wonderful, man. Shout out to the egg weights again, man. These joints.
How long you been using?
I've been using them for about 2 weeks now. And man, they come what? They come in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, these the 1 pound joints right there. One good enough because I run with them and all. And you run 4 or 5 miles with them, these 1 pound, you get the feeling about 20, 30 pounds, man.
So you actually ran with those before?
Yeah, I ran with them in my hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know, you ain't even got to worry about dropping them. They got these little rings. You ain't even got to worry about that.
Now, what's the difference you feel with you running with those in your hand as compared to without them?
I feel like, as crazy as it sounds, these 2 pounds, because only 1 pound each, these 2 pounds make a big difference. Especially when you're running for a long period of time. In sprints, they may not make a difference, but in them long distance runs, they really make a difference.
That's what's up.
Man, I want to make sure we give one more thing on here. He got on a Soul City shirt. Man, I argue with O forever. Man, wearing a Soul City shirt all through the amateurs. He finally got it to me, man. Shout outs to O. Shout out to both his kids, man. Lil O doing this thing as a pro. His daughter, she wreaking havoc. I think she's going to be an Olympian. If she do, man, I give her the biggest compliment. You fight like a boy. Hey, because I seen her put them hands on some jokers. So, you know, I shout out to him. You know, it's boxing. We compete against each other, but at the end of the day, we one community, one family. When a young man passed away or any other fighter, they don't say the Baltimore guys, the DC guys, Pennsylvania. They say we lost one of our own. So, you know, to us, we compete, we clash, but at the end of it, tell me how many times you don't see 2 fighters embrace after it's over. They want to go home to their families healthy. They want their families to enjoy the fruits of their labor. But we one family, you know. It's a lot of fights we love to see. For example, Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence. Terrence Crawford was, you know, wishing him well, like, man, speedy recovery. You know, other fighters wish him well, but we want to see both of them. I hope he heal 100% so we can see both of them get it on at some point. You know, we look at the back and forth between Gary and Tank. They've been on each other forever, but hey, everybody would love to see them get it on. So it's always that clash because they all titans. Everybody want to battle for the top. But after it's over, we all part of the same boxing community, man. You know, we don't want to see no harm come. If I knock a guy out, me through my son, I want that guy to get up and I want that guy to go home because he got a family at home that he taking care of. This ain't about fight you to the death. This is about fight you till one of us win.
How things going for you in your senior year, man?
Man, lovely, man. I'm loving it, man. You know, on top of that, I'm the youngest senior, so.
How was that? Yeah, I was gonna ask you that, man. How are you? Did you skip a grade?
Yeah, you know, this last year I took night school and I did summer classes, so that made it where I could get ahead.
Oh, wow. Now talk about October 31st, man.
Man, that's gonna be big, man. I got an open workout in Chicago, Illinois at Montel Griffin's gym. Man, it's gonna be real nice. Get some sparring, bad work.
Shout out to his counselors who made it possible for him to get out of here.
Yeah, I gotta get to that too. I want to give a huge thank to all my counselors, Ms. Solomon, Ms. Joyner, everybody who helped with the process of making it where I have a chance at graduating a year early. Man, yeah. So back to October 31st, I was really interrupted. Man, yeah, it's gonna be real big. It's gonna be real nice. We got sparring. It's gonna be a meet and greet, take a picture, sign autographs. It's gonna be a real nice experience, man.
Man, what's your thoughts, man, on Mayweather Promotions signing the next group of young fighters, man?
Man, I love it, man. Shout out to, I done already talked to him, but man, shout out to both Maliks, man. Malik Hawkins, Iceman, my man Malik Warren. That's my dog right there, the king. I'm real happy for him. I've been knowing Malik since he was 8, 9 years old, man. You know, watch him come up through the ranks, the silver gloves, all the other tournaments, and now he at the big stage. I'm right behind him.
Yeah, I know, man.
It feel good, man.
It's good to see, man, that Mayweather keeping his eye on the young talent in this area, man, from Baltimore all the way down to the DMV, man.
I feel like I ain't been bad enough, but we got the best talent. It's just hard for us to show it sometimes, but now I feel like we getting that opportunity.
I definitely see that, man. So I'm gonna continue to see you keep working, big dog.
Definitely.
All right.
Percent to
running start?
I seen him at the combine.
Nah,
Running
that
start.
nigga jumped straight up in the air. He goddamn running
I
start.
was going to go to the league, but I chose boxing because I was better at that. I'm about to
He talking about a running start. What, you gonna run from the parking lot?
Hey, nah, you gotta do it from this way.
Oh, no, you good. I do it from this side.
Now, what's the smallest one? What's the height on the smallest one? The lowest one, I mean.
I want to say that. I want to say that's 21.
21?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
It might be. I don't know. It might be wrong though. That can't be 21, yo. Yeah, I'm about to say that can't be 21. That might be 30 something, yo. We about to see. You gotta stand still though. You want to keep moving. I gotta jump from right here.
Yes, it's straight up.
After this, I
call it a bird.
Nah,
You don't get
after
it
this, I do my running bird. Oh,
Oh, he on.
Oh, that nigga hit nothing. Hey, you didn't hit nothing. You didn't touch a damn thing.
Too high. Hold up, he said it was too high. What you bringing it down to?
Man, that joke was where it was supposed to be. Duck Johnson is in the building. Duck Johnson.
I seen it with my eye. It was too high.
How? Because he ain't got no ability to leave the ground?
I got bunny.
Right, you did not
got
touch
bunny.
a damn thing.
I got bunny. Hold on.
That nigga didn't touch shit, man. Come on, man. That is too low.
I think this is line right here. Nah, cause he's shorter, that's why. Yeah. Nah, you ain't never seen no 5'9" nigga. Right there. Right there to 20, right there.
That's 20.
Go ahead.
Exactly. Run it back. We gonna run it back, man. We gonna run it back.
Run it
Straight
back.
up.
We gonna run it back.
Oh.
My 50-year-old ass might be able to beat that nigga.
That's cool. But the running chain gonna be way different. That's decent for an athlete.
That's deep for a bad body.
The running chain gonna be like 40. That ain't no DV joint. Yeah, DV turn like 21.
Nah, you got to be crazy. They higher than yours.
Yeah, 30
All right, hold
plus,
on, run
right?
it back. Run it back.
Man, what you mean running back, man? You a duck. Cold duck, man. Y'all just seen what duck at the motherfucking restaurant tastes like.
Watch this.
Cold duck, here you go.
Here go to 30. Here go to 30 right here.
You can stretch all you want, Kung Pao. You ain't gonna get no 30. No.
You ain't even reach all the way, yo. He got 28 though. That's solid.
Duck Johnson. I told y'all, if it wasn't for boxing, he'd definitely be going to school. Definitely be going to school.
I'm 280. I can jump to 28.
That's a damn shot.
Well, I'm different though. Hey, you play football.
Ain't no excuses for this nigga duck, man.
You saying I ain't even jump for real.
You might have messed your whole boxing career. They said, man, this nigga be lying like shit.
I hit the top black one. What I got out for?
You
Let me
did.
tell you how I hit the top black one.
Because your imagination said it.
I'm supposed to be jumping from this side. I jump from that side, hit the top black one, hit the little pole, and then jump back that way.
You must be an imagination station.
I said, what you say?
What
What you say?
Bruh,
What you say?
I'm better than
You probably don't touch none of them.
man. If I touch one of them, I beat you.
Nah, I touch everything though. I touch all the black
You
ones.
ran.
I touch all the black ones.
Standing still, you ain't touched but 4 of them. You ain't touched but 4. Standing still.
I got D1 belts, man. Hey, Coach K, if you seeing this?
You said Coach K.
Coach K, if you seeing this? You already know.
Coach K saw that, he'll put you on.
Watch the run. Off the run. Here go the running turn right here. Oh, I'm done.
You done?
I'm done.